Zion. That's the place that the Father put his name on. Them the people that the angels that they aim on. Thought that would be from the game on. Jerusalem, we did do so wrong. Wrote the laws, he left us alone. We waking up, we wanna come on. Follow Christ and casting no Jerusalem, Jerusalem, yeah. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, yeah. We wanna go back home, go back where we belong. Forgive us for our wrong. I pray this reach the throne. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, yeah. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, yeah. We.
All right. And this is not on. This is not on. All right, Israel. Hey, happy Sabbath. And Most High Christ bless all. Okay, Israel. All praises to the Most High Yahweh and His begotten Son Yahweh Shai, whom the world calls Jesus Christ, for giving us the Spirit to come here, fellowship, and keep His commandments. All right. So we're going to continue with more history concerning the dedication of the altar, which is coming up November the 28th, right? And it's going to be for 8 days. And it's not this Sunday coming up, but it's the following Sunday. Okay? So the first day being the Sabbath and Holy Convocation, and the last day being a Sabbath and a Holy Convocation according to Scripture. So make sure that you note your calendars and keep it in remembrance. And for those of you that have not begun to forward those contributions so that we can make that beautiful event happen, please don't continue to hesitate. It doesn't happen of itself. And thank you in advance. Let's see. All right, so let's go back to the book of Maccabees. The first chapter. And we stopped at verse 24, and just a small recap. In this chapter, it began with Alexander the Greek from Macedonia. And Alexander was not a fable, okay? I grew up as a child eating a candy that I actually loved, super sweet, called Alexander the Grape. And on that small box, it had a Roman soldier that had a plume on top of his helmet that went from front to back. That is the great Alexander. So oftentimes all of these trinkets is in your environment in the world, and you didn't know what it was. So this was the man that conquered the world in his time, to the point to where the scriptures said that he ruled over countries, nations, and kings, and they all began to give tribute unto him. That means he persecuted them to the point to where they gave their goods over to him, which was robbery. Okay. Because if the Most High wanted us to give our goods unto another nation, then he would have created that from the beginning. But he didn't do that. From the beginning, he separated all the children of Israel, and he separated all the nations. And in doing so, that everybody would be able to have a portion for themselves. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse, let's read that. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8. As soon as you get it.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, and verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
When the Most High divided to all nations that was on the earth their inheritance. In other words, what he wanted them to have. So what did the Greeks grow up and do? Decided to be big brother on the planet Earth when they are not big brother. Okay? They are not. There was plenty nations that was created before him. He was the next to the last nation that was created. Because Israel was the last nation. The first came out Harry, so he is the older. And then it's Israel. But we are attached to our grandparents, the Hebrews, and he is put by. But he decided to take everything from everybody. I don't know how these nations let him get that off, but the Most High is going to put it back in perspective. So it shows you that the Lord, what did he do? He divided every nation an inheritance. You're supposed to have Jerusalem, and the nations, they got their lands. Go ahead.
When he separated the sons of Adam.
See, he separated the sons of Adam. Okay, so everybody be like, oh, I'm of Adam. Yeah, you are of Adam, but Adam's sons was separated. Okay, who was Adam's son? Who was the first son? Abel. Then he had Cain, and Cain killed Abel, being wicked. That's what happens when you're evil. You kill people through your anger, your wrath. And then the Most High replaced him, the dead son Abel, even though his works was good, with Seth. Okay, so now we come out of Seth. So he separated Seth from Cain. So you out of the lineage of Seth. Go ahead.
He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So even though from Seth, you got to go through the lineage to come all the way back down to the children of Israel. And the Most High said, okay, Israel's going to have this. And then he gave all the other people a land. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Right. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So remember when we read in the history about Jacob in the other class pertaining to the blessings, we went over the blessings in this time. Y'all remember that, right? Okay. The next verse is talking about that. Read the next verse.
Verse 10. He found him in a desert land.
Right, he found him in a desert land. So when Jacob was laying upon that rock, and he said, oh, wow, his mind was blown. The spirit world was opened up to him. And he began to see, people coming up and down, like a stairway to heaven. All right, go ahead.
And in the waste, howling wilderness.
Because remember, nobody would have ever thought that place was a gate to heaven. And Jacob would be like, surely this is the house of the Lord right here. Because it didn't look like that. It just looked like a wilderness. People, be careful, because oftentimes when you be thinking that you a day late and a dollar short, or this place is a dump, I don't want you to be like, well, this is the best that the Lord got. The way that you see things and where you at is far different than the way the Most High see things for you and where he wants you to be. Okay? It looked like a desert land, and it looked like wilderness. Go ahead.
He led him about.
He led him about. Go ahead.
He instructed him.
He came to him in a vision. He instructed him. Read.
He kept him as the apple of his eye.
That's right. He then began to keep eye upon Jacob. And so at that point, Jacob was not, the Israelites were supposed to remember that, right? So now go to Isaiah 42. The book of Isaiah, chapter 42. Oh, wow. Isaiah 42 and 18.
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 18. Hear, ye deaf, and look, ye blind, that ye may see.
Right. Hear, you deaf, and look, O blind, that you might see. Go ahead.
Who is blind but my servant?
Who is blind but my servant? We act like we're blind. We be like, I don't see it. I don't understand. Go ahead.
Or deaf as my messenger that I sent. Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant, seeing many things, but thou observest not.
Right. You see a lot. You profess that you know, but you don't observe any of it. This is most talking about Israel. Okay, go ahead.
Opening the ears, but he heard not. The Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable. When
it's talking about his righteousness' sake, it's still not talking about a person. The Lord is well pleased because of his own righteousness, meaning he know I gave you good law. He's like, he knows that he gave you good law. He knows that he gave you this. He knows that he did this, that, and the third for you. He is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. All right. What's the last part say?
He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
Go ahead.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
Right. We are people that are robbed. We don't have that land no more. We don't have the inheritance anymore. As a matter of fact, all the other nations, most of these nations has lost their true inheritance too. And they up under tribute. Even though a lot of them, they in their land, they still have to pay tributary. They still got to pay what we call today taxes. You gonna tax me? I'm gonna tax you. You gonna tax me? Yeah, you gonna tax you behind. They still got it. This dude is taxing them. A lot of people don't think that he's scared to die. Oh, he's scared to die. He bleed. It's just that it's a lot of cowardice in a lot of people. Mainly Israel. We soft as cotton, man. Straight up. We soft as cotton, man. And nobody wants to die. But that's a spirit that the Most High allowed to come upon us. You know, the other day, I was watching something about animals. And it was showing how the female lioness goes out to bring food back. and she ran up on a whole herd of what they call wildebeest, and they got some big old horns in front of them, right? I'm sitting there on the couch like, would y'all turn and all trample her and just stomp her behind and send her back? But you know what they all did? It had to be 50 or more of them. They all ran against one female lioness. They all ran. And instead of them all just surrounding her and ramming this lioness with those big old tusks that stick out in front of them and kicking and trampling and just going crazy to survive, that way she won't be able to get none of them. They all ran, and she ran up behind them until she stuck her claws in one of them and drug them down and made her way around to the throat and clamped it down. And then they all stopped and stood back and just watched her eat him. That's a coward spirit right there. We do the same thing. We do the same thing. The so-called white man come up and we'll all stand there. And he'll be beating our behinds, he'll be choking us, and he'll be doing all kind of stuff. He'll even pull his gun out. And we'll be like, I got you on tape. That's okay. And a whole bunch of color folks will just stand around and watch that happen. So who we are people rob and spoil. The Most High gave us over to that fearful spirit to where we will not protect ourselves, defend ourselves, protect our loved ones. That's bad. All right. Verse. No, I don't want the rest of that. We are spoiled and robbed. Let's jump to the point. 23.
This is Isaiah chapter 42 and 23. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?
Right. Meaning not just this time, but like a time that we're living in now. Who gonna listen to what's being said? Jump back up. Verse 22.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared and whole.
Right. You're in a situation that you can't get yourself out of. Go ahead.
They are hid in prison houses.
You going to prison? Why? Because you're breaking the laws? Go ahead.
Therefore prey, and none deliver.
Right. What is it for a prey? Meaning they sit back and set you up. They set things out there, and yet you go right forth and do it, and then turn around. Then you turn around and you get put in prison. They prey upon you. They know that you're going to go after the stuff. Go ahead.
For spoil, and none said restore.
Nobody is saying not to do it. So downstairs in the meeting, I was saying, where else can you go and somebody tell you don't just deal with any woman any type of way? You can't go nowhere and people are telling you that. They're telling you menage a trois. They telling you, man, get that, get that trick. They doing all different type of wickedness, telling you to smoke that drug, man, drink that stuff. Let's steal this car. Let's jack these people. Let's break in that house. Let's buck this nigga. Let's do this and let's do that. This is the only place, meaning in Israel, the true Israel that's after the Most High is the only place that's going to tell you not to commit sin. We're telling you to restore, be restored. Read the next one.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil?
Right. So when we get back to Maccabees 1, who put us in that position? Who gave us to a spoil? Go ahead.
And Israel to the robbers.
To the robbers. They came and they took it all, man. Our land, heritage, our possessions. Who did that? Read.
Did not the Lord?
Did not the Lord. So remember, before he came to us, he went everywhere in the world. And Israel didn't see it coming. So this is the recap part. Israel didn't see it coming. Israel was in the midst of their sins. And the Most High whistled for them. I got somebody else I want you to go get down on. Even the ones that was the apple of his eye. Why? Because we didn't obey his voice. It's going to be the same thing that happens in modern day on a small level. Say, for instance, you can be in the midst of your sins, and if you don't stop and repent, the Most High going to call the boys. And them boys, they're going to show up and they're going to spoil you. They're going to rob you. They're going to take your possessions. They'll throw you in prison. You know how many people got caught up, went to prison, and they lost all their stuff. They lost their job. They lost their car. They lost their apartment. They lost their possessions. They lost their money. They lost everything. Now it is as a number. Where's your inmate number? 2468. Now they're a number. And that's all they got. How many of you in here by a show of hands have had somebody reach out to you from prison telling you to send them some money? See, it's a lot of people. Who gave them to the robber and to the spoiler? The Most High. Who put them in prison? The Most High. Why? Because they didn't observe. They didn't observe. All right, is that it here?
He against whom we have sinned.
Oh, there it is. There. For he against whom we have sinned. Go ahead.
For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law.
So, in other words, in verse 24, if we don't walk in his ways and we don't be obedient, we're going to end up being robbed, spoiled, and possibly put into prison and put into a hole that we cannot get out of. And nobody is going to be able to say unto you, restore. Because all the people that are saying restore are formulated together through the Spirit of the Most High in Christ. And when they're done with you, that's it. The rest of the world is just going to what? Trample you under their foot. Did y'all know that? Yeah. As Christ said they are good for nothing but to be what? Trampled under the foot of men. That's in Matthew, the 7th chapter. All right, let's go back to 1 Maccabees chapter 1. So just so I could understand that we understand, when Antiochus was conquering the rest of the world, what was Israel doing? Muffled? Kicking it? Okay. Yeah, Israel was kicking it, sinning. They didn't see it coming. All right. So 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 24, when he had taken all away, he went into his own land. So he came into the land of Israel and he took it. Having made a great massacre, so he killed people, spoken very proudly. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where there were. So that the princes and elders mourned. The virgins and young men were made feeble. That means very weak at that point. And the weakest thing about them was their faith. And the beauty of women was changed. What do you think that means? The beauty of women was changed. Sisters in here, beautiful sisters. In order for that beauty about them to change, what would have to happen? Jabril. Another.
I guess I'm being sin. The council.
My man here.
No, I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
All the tops.
Halter. No. Okay. He like Respucia. You want to see somebody go down the slide. Halter top. No, they're not wearing halter tops, brother. Okay, James.
I'll say work and beat.
Right. Listen. The beauty of the women changed. Okay. The young blood.
The spirit,
The spirit. Oh, spirit. What do you mean the spirit?
as in like their spirit change, their spirit is the beauty.
Their beauty, the spirit. Okay, listen. All these women did something to beautify themselves today, right? It's too late now. He's like, I got it. You had a chance. Y'all did something to beautify themselves today, right? So just imagine all of this stuff happened. The temple destroyed, the sanctuary destroyed. That's the temple. The sanctuary destroyed. They're robbed. They didn't just hit the temple. They rifled houses. They came into your houses. They took in the sanctuary. If they took hidden treasures, they knew where these treasures come from. People. They took the crowns of the kings. They took all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're so broke now, we don't even believe that. Well, I ain't gonna say you don't believe, but it's kind of like we had stuff. Yeah, you had great stuff, man. You were the richest people in the world. You were the richest. You were bougie. Huh? Yeah, you were bougie. You were up at it. Yeah, the life of the rich and famous. The spread where the table is like 10 foot long and it's full of all food and this, that, and the third. Oh, that was your life. That's how you had it. They come into your house, they take all your stuff. The question is, how's it said? The beauty of women changed. What makes a woman beautify herself? She feels good. She's feeling good that day. She's not having sackcloth on. She don't even have the spirit that's why I thought he was going after her. Now she's not coming with her hair made up, her eyes, batting her eyes made up, the costly apparel made up. She don't have those things. That stuff ain't there. And she probably could take the face paint. They did paint the face. She probably could take some foundation and splatter it on there, some blue and put over the eyes and throw some sprinkles over there. I hope you don't get none in your eye. Put some of that stuff over there and head wraps. But that beauty changed. So even the women wasn't coming out spanking. Look, trying to look. How you gonna do that? Look at the current circumstance and the situation. It was bad. Remember how we would put sackcloth on? In other words, we would look dirty. We would look like like my wife said, told me years ago. I went on and bought all new stuff. She said, you look like a hardworking man looking for work. I was already a hardworking man. It looked like I was looking like I was looking for work. Work clothes beat up, right? Work clothes beat up. Dude, you look like a hardworking man looking for work. All right. Let me go look like a hardworking man that's got the work already. I bought all new clothes. Some of the stuff I still ain't even wore. I bought so many stuff. It didn't offend me, but it was a cut. So in ancient days, we would look like a hardworking man looking for work. You put that sackcloth on. Them wore out clothes, you like, man, I ain't feeling it today. So how you gonna look spiffy? And all the stuff that just happened. So even the sisters wasn't even looking spiffy. So that's something. Right, it's no drip. You affected the women. So it's verse 27, First Maccabees 1:27. Every bridegroom took up lamentation. So that's just imagine Uzziah finna get married, he crying. What's up, Bob? I can't believe this. You feel cursed. This happened right. I just got married. And she that sat in the marriage chamber, that's Stacy, was in heaviness. like out of all times, happened on my wedding. You feel cursed. Like, what did we do? They blaming it on each other. I told you should be listening. Every couple, like, you don't listen to me, man. I told you don't listen. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob. So that's the nation was covered with what? Confusion. Because we like, why? Why is this happening? That's the confusion. Like, we don't understand. So many people be expecting to have success while you're in the midst of sin. You ain't finna have no success. You finna get what we just read about. It can happen on your wedding day. It can happen to a woman. You lose your drip. You don't have the spirit to do it. You know, because of the sin. We read that in Isaiah 42. For they did not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his laws. Whenever somebody is speaking unto you about the laws, Israel, you're going to have to obey it. You can't just sit here, shalom. No. You got to do more than that. That's what they did. Ezekiel 33 and verse 31. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and 31. And we'll read that together. On three. 1, 2, and 3.
And they come unto thee as the people coming.
So the Lord is telling Ezekiel that. Meaning they come to your class, Ezekiel. They sit in the sanctuary, Ezekiel. Go ahead.
And they sit before thee as my people. And they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness.
Right. Their heart is the mind. So whenever they go home, they do whatever they want to do. So because of that, the Most High allowed the robbers and the spoilers to come to us. So whenever you begin to wonder, like, why is this happening to me? Remember that sin you committed. Remember the drugs you smoked. Remember that alcohol you drank that had you cussing, that you overdid it. Even though you said my bad, you can seek the apology. You can give somebody an apology, but that doesn't mean the Most High's not going to judge you. He's still going to judge you because you got to learn what not to do. And then he's going to still send around the reproof, the words of life. Speak unto the words. He's going to speak unto you the words of life on what you're supposed to be doing. And you're going to know that the Most High is a lot stricter than you ever imagined. Right now, you like it. Some people in a fetal state, some people are in an infant state, some people in a toddler state, some people in adolescent state, some people in a youthful state, some people in a young man and a young woman state, and those others are you in an adult state. But each and every state that you're in, the Most High is going to chastise you based upon his will, and he know how much pressure to apply. But there ain't a person that's walking on two legs that's going to be able to squeeze or slither out of being corrected by the Most High, our God. So I would just suggest that of a sincere spirit, we truly humble ourselves and make it as painless as we possibly can and not be phony. Okay? Because that's what Ezekiel 33 and 31 is dealing with. Some phony people. They sit like the people sit. You sit amongst just like other people sit here. You get some people sincere and some people that's not sincere. You playing games. And you could probably fool us or them or we you. The Most High knows the heart. more than others do. He tried hard and searched the rain. So he knows, but he's going to give to everyone according to their works. And if your works is you coming up short, why are you confused? I don't know why this happened. I know why it happened. Go to the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 28 and verse 5. I don't know why this happened.
This is Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 5. Evil men understand not judgment.
Evil men don't understand, not judgment. Now read verse 4.
Verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked.
Now we're going to mix 4 and 5 together. The first 3 words of 4 and the last 3 words of the first precept.
This is Proverbs 28 and 4. They that forsake the law understand not judgment.
That's right. When you forsake the law, you're going to be confused. You're going to be confused. You'll be like, why did this happen? You're not ever going to understand why certain things happen. So the land of Israel was in confusion. Why was they in confusion? Because they forsook the law. They didn't think anything's supposed to happen. Because from the day that they made a decision to be self-willed and do what they wanted to do, nothing was happening unto them. That's how some of us is today. You don't think anything should happen to you. But something should happen to you. Because what you're doing is not right. That's according to the Most High. So let's go back. We gotta get somewhere today. The whole objective is for us to learn this. So when you go home, you be a different you. You don't keep being the same old person that's gonna break the law of the Most High and then not understand. All right, so First Maccabees chapter 1 and now 29, because in 28 they was all confused. They was like, you know how when you fall and you hurt, they was feeling the effect of all the things that happened in the land. Now verse 29.
And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So 2 whole years went by. He stung them, he licked them. He took everything that he had. And I'm sure that they still didn't stop sinning because they had a habit of sin. When sin come in, it controls you. When sin comes in, if you're not careful, it'll have dominion over you. It'll be ruling in you. It'll be telling you what to do, and you won't stop it. So if you was fornicating on that day, do you think that you left that man alone? Because you feel like you love that man. But this man you love has no blank to you. What is that? You feel that that man you love has no blank to you. No blank with you. Commitment. No commitment. Papa is a rolling stone. Wherever he lays head, is his home. Yeah. You like Papa. You like Papa a lot. Maybe because it's money. I ain't gonna even put it on us being romantic. Because guys think that you are just the king of romance. No, we're not kings of romance. You know, it could be something else. Woman could be using you, man. A lot of brothers, you don't even understand. That's the game you can only learn when you get older. You play games, she's like, I play it too. she play it too. You think that you the king. No, you're being used, dumb doodle bird. You're being used. She's using you this whole time. So She'll let you roll your stone, let you come and go. Yeah, she'll let you come and go. She's getting somebody a deal. So 2 years later, people fornicate for years, man. And they don't even understand it. You stay here, he stay there, fornication. Yeah. Why you don't stay together? What does he keep dropping in here for? He ain't committed to you. And many other things. They were just confused. They already forsook the law. If they had a truly, truly repented, the Most High wouldn't have sent them back. The Most High didn't set us up to lose battle after battle after battle after battle. Remember when Israel came, the Most High was testing Israel, came out of the wilderness, going to Egypt, and then we began to go on to fight the wars. What was the first war we lost? Against who? I just pull it down a little bit, and I'm asking a specific question again. So I'm not talking about no baseball score. I don't want the fluff. I want the answer. What'd you say?
I said the Assyrians.
No. Right, against AI. Now, when we turned our backs against AI, did we lose again? After that, the answer is no. The Most High destroyed the reason why we lost, which was the sinners, was a chain. Then we went back and got to kick their butt. Then the next time we went to battle was against Jericho, and we surrounded them and stomped them. So the point that I'm proving is that if they continued in sin. If we hadn't continued in sin, 2 years later, we wouldn't have lost. They continued in sin. But they only continued in sin because they were sold to sin. They were convinced and persuaded to continue to sin, like some of us do. Stop sinning and thinking that it's okay to sin because it goes over a period of time. Oh, I still been sinning. Yeah, I've been doing this. No, the scriptures say though a sinner sin 100 times, it still ain't gonna be well with them. 100 times, that's just 100 days or 100 months. It doesn't matter. You can sin for a long period of time. It still ain't gonna end well with you. The Most High still gonna bring you into judgment. So 2 years later, Israel didn't repent. You got to stop sinning in order to have success. You have to stop sinning. And you have to make haste. And you cannot put off from day to day. Because if you do, you can vex the Most High by putting off from day to day, by struggling with sin. Just imagine, just remember, you are in a relationship with the Most High God. And just imagine, let's just put it in, and I know y'all say I talk about marriage a lot. The spirit of me have to, because there's married people, we walk through troublous times. There are single people that walk on troublous times. So, and that's the example in this case and situation is the relationship between Israel and the Most High was like a marriage. Okay? And the Most High say that his name is jealousy. So he's a jealous God. So now the woman, just imagine you married women, sisters, you got a husband and your husband is threatening fornication. I mean, you know him. He a hound dog. That's what they call about. He's a hound dog. Wee doggy. And this woman seems to be flirtatious. She's loose. She don't care. She's creepy. She's smiling in your face. she's gonna give it to him. Ain't you gonna be jealous? Sisters will be jealous. You're gonna be like, man, you better not do this. Stay away. You're gonna be trying to do everything. Somebody said no. Or they say you gonna cut somebody. But cut them. Don't cut nobody. So you're gonna be doing everything trying to keep these people apart. At the same time, why you jealous? Now there are scriptures that brothers with their whore in them, right? They're whoremongering in them. Say, oh, you jealous. Jealous is a sorrow and grief is a woman that is jealous over another woman. What somebody got to say about that before I give you the answer? Remember, the scenario is here's a woman, right honest woman. Her husband is threatening fornication. Some other woman, Floozy, we call her Floozy or something. You know, he's already a hound dog, meaning, you know, he's highly motivated. You know, he'll trip and fall and do it, you know, because you can see him walking in deceit. You can see him walking in lust. You know, sisters, you got to have antennas. This is a teaching moment. Got something in the basement. Shit. Sisters, you got to have antennas. You got to be able to see if your man is moving the wrong way. You got to be able to see that, right? So you see him moving the wrong way. Then you see this woman, she kind of loose. She might be acting like she'll do something. You're like, wait a second, I ain't trusting this. He pulled that scripture in Sirach. Wow, you're jealous, this, that, and the third. Sorry, I don't want to pull us too far away from this because I'm trying to bring it back in so we can understand and bring it back into the Most High. Sorrow and grief is a woman that is jealous over another woman. Somebody, if he pulls that on her, somebody help me to understand. You can even help them out to what if you want for time constraint because they might not. What should she in her defense say? Because he'll pull that, the man will pull that, oh, you jealous. You can't be jealous. I'm not just solely asking him. I said if nobody gets it, then I'm sure he could.
She gotta call it what it is. He walking in the whoremongers.
Okay.
Hold him accountable.
Hold him accountable. Man, do you know how hard it is to hold a man accountable? He ain't listening to nobody. My brothers didn't listen to me. They don't listen to the Most High. They don't listen to nobody. When they a hound dog, they hound it until they take it, till they get it. They gonna do what they want to do. In her defense, he's calling her jealous. What is her defense? You need a defense. You need to know that, okay, that scripture says that, but I'm not tripping. I mean, you're right. I'm just looking for some of the details.
I do want to, mess around with it, see if I can. I don't want to end up on,
Grill. On that gas grill out there. Okay. So, I mean, y'all not wrong. It's lust. And listen, the scriptures talk about do benevolence. Okay. So you're rendering due benevolence. You are admonishing him about the behavior with this other female, because first and foremost, if I said that he is threatening fornication, then the fornication part is somebody is not what? Somebody is not committed. It's not decent and it's not orderly. Let's make her new to the faith, right? That means that she's unlearned and she's a beginner. So should anybody be trying to touch her? No. Just because she's a consented adult doesn't make her eligible. So you have to have some antennas that go up and be trying to tell him that you're not happy with that. That's a bad decision. And he should listen to you and you should be seeking help. Instead of just sitting up, seeing him parade around and stumble over a woman. You don't do that, because yes, it's provoking you to jealousy, but it's also provoking you to wrath. It's provoking you to anger, and also it's something that you didn't think of yet. Is also going to break wedlock. I thought about that, but I didn't want to say that. You should have said that. It's gonna destroy y'all's marriage, because what would happen if you went out and you fell into the hands of another man? People are gonna say, "Well, that's different." No, that's not different. So you're only saying, and if you say that it's different, that there's only one person can fornicate. A woman can fornicate, but a man cannot fornicate. A man can fornicate, and if you fornicate, then the judgment sit on you. 1 Corinthians 5 tells you don't even have nothing to do with a fornicator. So what place does that put the woman in? That puts that woman in the same position that you put her in. You get kicked out like Dino. So sisters, you gotta have your antennas up to watch to see if your man moving and grooving like that. Because if he does, he's just destroyed this marriage. So jealousy, please. You don't like it, and he can call it whatever he wanted to call it. You tell him I'm supposed to be jealous because you're doing the wrong thing. The Most High is jealous too. So is he wrong for being jealous? We just read the Most High is a jealous God. We read the other day. His name is jealousy. So now you mean to tell me the Most High is off? The Most High is wrong? So where we stop at? It was something else I was trying to go and get, but I got sidetracked. Bear with me. I get it. So it doesn't matter how long you're gonna have to give an account of that. So after 2 years, then this man, he comes back, he lets, obviously if we would think about it from this point of view, he let them get their stuff up because he totally robbed them of all of their stuff. Then after 2 years, I'm sure they reformulated, they start saving again. Israel didn't repent. The Most High sent them back. So it doesn't matter how long, you got to stop sinning. You cannot just be in the midst of sin and then you be confused on why bad things are happening to you. And then in your mind, you're like, well, I'm just going to try and make it better, make it work. You try and make it work in sin. You can't do that. People, those of you in the basement, when you come and go, don't slam that door. So let's get back to it. Maybe it'll come back. So First Maccabees 1 and verse 30 it was.
And spake peaceable words unto them. but all was deceit.
So 29, after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude. So he had a whole bunch of people, but he had somebody that knows how to take the treasure, knows what's valuable, knows what to look for. And he had a whole bunch of people with him, an army, some soldiers. Go ahead.
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence,
Meaning they gave him credit, saying, okay, this guy is nice. They listened to him. Say, oh, okay, because everybody likes to think because this man is formulated to speak polite, proper, and not with broken language or broken English, you give credit to him. Like one of us, we could stand up and we can be saying, see what I'm saying? And yeah, yo, this is what we need to be doing. And you can think that, okay, well, I'm not talking about anything and I'm dumb. And I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But then somebody else stand up and say, well, yes, we are about to put this into motion and it's affirmative, it's been confirmed that this will be done this type of way. And I can guarantee you that you will have results. Like, that's the language I like to speak. It's not broken English. It's not this. So they sat up there and they gave this man, they gave them all credit because they spoke peacefully. Go ahead.
he fell suddenly upon the city.
So what do you think that means? All those soldiers dispersed. He fell upon the city and took them by surprise. You think they had stuff tucked away and hid this, that, and the third? Not all. Go ahead.
And smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of
And he
Israel.
began to people that would stand up or people that would resist, he immediately killed them. Go ahead.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city,
Robbery again. So why did the robbery and spoil happen the first time according to Isaiah 42? Because we had sinned against the Most High. Go ahead.
he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle.
What happened on this side of the Atlantic slavery? This side of the Atlantic slavery, what happened? Remember how they hung our fathers, they whooped, strung them up, and beat them, and then they forced themselves into the huts and houses of the women and raped them right in the front of children. Straight creating something that's called mulatto, a mixed race of people with Edomite origin. So now they don't call that race mulatto, they call it mixed. They say, oh, you mixed? But then it was called mulatto. So but the women and children they took captive. You know what they did with the women, all right? And they worked the children, and then they took the cattle. So we had cattle. The most that we have now is dogs. And we have a dog. The same way that we would breed dogs now in time past, we were cattle breeders. Okay, we were shepherds. So what the scriptures say, the children of Israel were shepherds. So we knew agriculture and we knew how to raise cattle. It's in our blood. But those are some of the things that they took from you and keep from you. First Maccabees chapter 1 and 33 now.
Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall.
So you ever wanted to know how did the Edomite get inside of the land of Israel? Then builded they. So this is the first beginning of it. I could recall that's being recorded right here. The city of David was after King David. It was a city that was named after him. They came in, burned things down, pulled down the wall that was supposed to keep them out, and then they took over. And then they put up a great wall that was stronger than the other wall to keep you out. Go ahead.
And made it strong. I'm sorry. And with mighty towers and made it a stronghold for them.
So a mighty tower is like a place, a high tower to where you could, with the bow, sling arrows down to hit your target or whatever. And with a hold for them. Okay. I mean, they can come and go. Like an embassy. Like, so what they do in other countries, they go to a country, and then remember we saw in Bad Boys, say it was in another country, and Mike and Marcus was driving a car, and then to get away from the bad guys, they roll up into the U.S. embassy, and then they had to stop because of the landmine. That section right there is what this is. You're reading it in scriptures. I'm putting it to a picture to show you what they do when they go into another country. They run the country from there. And from there, they send out enough troops to beat you up and to subdue you and to make you in subjection to them. And then they come back into the stronghold. They don't stay dispersed out throughout the city because that makes them weak. You still got to have some place to live so they don't just kill and eradicate all the people because they try to seem civilized. They leave a place for you to stay. But they come back to that stronghold and they fortify it. On the movie Bad Boys, what was their hold fortified with? Landmines. Come on, people. It was fortified with landmines. You couldn't just walk up to them or you would be blown to pieces. Remember how which one of them threw the gun and it landed into the thing and it blew up? Right. That was the first time that Mike kissed Sid, right? Right. In front of Marcus. Am I getting it right? Right.
Yeah, he did it right.
Right. They was in the midst of the landmine. So they fortified it. They still doing the same thing today. So you could drive straight ahead, but they got all their high artillery from the towers set. And you ain't gonna be able to get through there. Can't come through the landmines, you're gonna get blown to pieces. And if you come through there, then they got those big high guns. To come 50 cals to come through, you know, they're gonna blow you up. A 50 caliber bullet, man. The bullet's about the size of this microphone. He said speaker. It's a bone. But the size of this microphone, that big, man. That thing gonna go straight through, man. It's the same people. You see, they still up to the same old stuff, man. Okay. So, verse 34.
And they put therein a sinful nation.
They put therein a sinful nation. So now you got people that are sinning in the midst of Jerusalem, in our land. Go ahead.
Wicked men.
Wicked men. So these are Edomites. Go ahead.
And fortified themselves therein.
They made it so that they are strong. Go ahead.
They stored it also with armor and victuals.
So armor, meaning bullets. Now it would be bullets, but then it was arrows and fuel that they can sling and burn and things like that, and metals that they can throw, and food, because they wasn't trying to give it up. It's like this, we're gonna keep this land. They're trying to keep the inheritance of the Most High that the Most High allotted to Jacob's children. So now just think of all this is happening. And Israel has got to be wondering like, wow, this thing went south very fast. With all the wealth that they had that got taken, and they got taken because of their sins. Look at the small possessions that we have. Should we put our small possessions at risk by sinning? No, I don't think we should. What? Huh?
So we already ain't got nothing.
We already don't have anything. That's right. And without a show of hands, I want this one to hit home. Without a show of hands, How many people should have something to show for, but you don't? And you know that maybe you don't have what you would like to have to show for because of your behavior in time past. I'm hoping that we understand the question. How many of us, without a show of hands, you should have something to show for? You're like, man, if somebody say, put this on the table, boom, you got something to show for. You're like, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. You know, I worked hard, I accumulated this, I accumulated that. How many of you have accumulated some form of wealth or some form of anything, and the Most High didn't take it for you because you was being wicked? Without a show of hands, because I don't even want us to put ourselves out there. You should have something to show for. You should. If you're working hard and you've worked, you should not be losing everything that comes into your hands. You should not be losing that stuff. You should not lose it. Oh, I don't need this, and you do something crazy. I did some crazy stuff with some stuff that I had and end up losing it. It only happened a couple times. Only a couple times. I try not to lose things that just come to me, because you can always liquidate that stuff. You can always liquidate that stuff, man. Stop sinning against the Most High and having the Most High blow your stuff to smithereens. Stop. Okay? So let's continue.
And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them.
Now you got the natural children of Israel leaving, and now you see these recordings. Let's see if I can find one. This is killing me.
Goodbye. Random calls and offers. Hello, built-in spam blocker. Now I can't soak up the sun in peace. Hello, Google Fi. A phone plan that can.
So these are heathens in the land. I'm just gonna give a few words. Listen to them, Bose. This is how they got there. We're reading how they originally got there. To the point to where in their mind they are deceived into thinking that it is their land.
We're Karen May. Yesterday we had a super long journey from New York to our 96th country of Israel. After a slightly rough start to the trip, with Nick being sick and losing his luggage, we spent yesterday just relaxing on the beach.
I wish y'all could see this. Yeah, this is probably the Jordan River. This is what I'm saying. This is sand, and we just came from New York and Tower Dainty, Israel, so on and so forth. Parasites. The children of the people that we're reading about, boasting about being in the land. They think that it's their land.
And by some miracle, his bag was delivered last night. Now that all that is behind us, we are super excited to get out and explore Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv, a city that they named and created, because you can't find Tel Aviv in the scriptures. Don't worry about that.
This is a country that we've been looking forward to exploring for so long, but for one reason or another in the past, it just hasn't worked out. So we are so excited to finally be here.
Oh my God, come on. I get so excited, man.
We're staying in the Florentine neighborhood, which is a really cool area. It has lots of street art, really cool vibes, and it's also where the Levinsky
Look at him in the
Market is
land,
located, which
walking
so many
around.
people told us to go to. So that's our first stop for today.
So the Levinsky Market was started back in the 1930s when several spice shop owners started opening up next to each other in this neighborhood. And today it's turned into a major spice and produce market. But what's interesting about it is they're not all housed in the same
Hey, just because they doing that doesn't mean that, the land is theirs, but they've been doing it so long, they comfortable. Just like the European in America. They walk the streets of all the states, that they named after them. They walk the shores and the beaches, the shorefronts of Central and South America, even North America, like it's theirs. And it wasn't theirs. Ezekiel 35. And verse 9. Here's I don't let me see if I can get back and get the name of that little commercial. That was just a prompt that I used to it was just a prompt that I used to show that the people are in the land, and it was bold. Israel, Jerusalem, Israel's old city. Let me see if I can share it to you. So I just shared it to my page here. You could go there and just get it. I'm gonna take it down later. I'm not trying to promote them. Yeah. All right. So Ezekiel 35 and 9.
Ezekiel chapter 35 and 9. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Because thou hast said, these two nations.
Right. These two nations, meaning the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Jerusalem, meaning the other tribes. So the kingdom of Judah consists of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay. And the other ones are the other tribes. Go ahead.
And these two countries,
the country of Israel and the country of America. Go ahead.
Shall be mine.
Right. They say they're going to be mine. They're not yours. We just showed you a video to where they walking around like, yo, yeah, we're selling berries and cherries and spices and herbs. And yeah, we just come from New York. That's one country, North America, which that consists of Central and South. And then Jerusalem. These two countries. You know the place that the Most High gave? The Most High gave to the Mount Seir, which is in the Caucasus Mountains. That's it. He didn't give them the planet Earth. Go ahead.
And we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God.
Oh, that's it. So it says, they said they're going to possess it, whereas the Lord was there. Meaning, regardless of what type of situation we were in, the Most High was there. The Most High is there with us. Yeah, and I know it's kind of rough and hard to imagine, is God with us? Was he with us when we were being strung up on those trees and our backs being split open? Yeah. Was he with us when our daughters were being raped and our wives were being raped? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Those were my ancestors too. Yeah, he was right there. And some people be asking, well, why did he allow that to happen? pray and ask him. They ask you foreknowledge, the foreknowledge of God, like you personally said in council. Well, we can tell you, but they don't want to hear that part. They want like maybe an answer from him. Because you broke his laws. If you hadn't broke his laws, then you would have never been over here. You'd have never been in that situation. So let's go back. So in 36 and 37, First Maccabees 1, 36, 37, they were just killing innocent people. Verse 38, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, because they didn't want to get murdered. Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, just like what you just saw, and became strange to those that were born in her. So you walk around and you see a nation of people that doesn't even belong there. Foreigners, right? And the ones that was originally there, it was strange. It's to the point now you can't even tell the so-called black man that he's from Israel, because it has been happening since the time that we're reading about. Okay, go ahead. Verse 38.
Verse 38.
To those that were born.
To those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
Right. Her own. So now, do we understand how we got out of the land at one point? Yeah. Go ahead.
Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness.
So the sanctuary is the place of worship. Nobody cared for it. So it was destroyed. Go ahead.
Her feasts were turned into mourning.
That means no more feasts. When that time came around, people knew that they were supposed to be, oh man, we're supposed to be keeping tabernacles, or we're supposed to be keeping Passover, or we're supposed to be keeping first fruits. But it wasn't keeping any of those things at this point. Why? Because of the oppression of the Greeks and because of sin. You know, it takes other people to be participating in it to help your spirit, to help their spirit along. But if the spirit ain't there, then nobody's, they don't have that zeal to do it. That's why I was saying earlier that our example has got to be that example to where it's going to show forth and inspire other people to do the right thing. Something on that line. But go ahead.
Her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt.
How was the Sabbath into reproach? Because they saw people profaning the Sabbath. Even in the land, Gentiles don't keep the Sabbath. That's why, they're calling you about business. The stores are open. McDonald's, Burger King, White Castles, Chuck E. Cheese. What's that other one? Welcome to the Good Burger. Home of the Good Burger. They're open. Everything is open. The service stations are open. All these things are open. On the Sabbath day, what day in the states, in the cities, everything is shut down? Is there one day that everything is shut down? Which day is that? Uh-oh. Christmas, they close everything down. What about the filling stations? Who said it? Habib and Alibaba. Gonna get their money. But true story, I'm gonna tell you something. So when I was a child, the whole city used to shut down. I think it was probably like even the filling stations. So you ride through the city and ain't nothing open. There was no help, there was nothing. He's like, what's that dirt roads? No. No, it just, listen, when technology hit, it just, everything grows rapidly. Listen, do y'all not know that they actually phasing out human jobs? You go to the grocery store, self-checkout. It's gonna be to the point to where, yeah, it's just probably just gonna be a few supervisors up in there. It ain't gonna be no humans at all. And if you try to take something, that drone gonna come and zap you. Straight up, gonna blow an electronic hole straight through you. Straight up. And what kind of terminology are they gonna use? Something to let you know this thing is denied. Process denied. Drone gonna get you. Yeah. What was that movie we all watched on our own when they tried to climb over the wall? They tried to get out.
Yeah.
And they got up there and the drone came and got them. Zapped them with the ray gun, right? The colony zapped them. The drones drew up. Boom, zapped them. They already, man, technology grows so fast. It just changes the game. So like I said, when I grew up and I was a child, the city used to shut completely down. Nothing was open, no store, no nothing. Yeah. Steak and Shake, I think, was the last thing open. Steak and Shake on the Circle. And they closed down. And they would shut down, and then that's it. No filler stations would be open. So where's we at? In a 39. So the Sabbath. So they saw the Sabbath in reproach. Nobody keeping the Sabbath day, just like now. Sabbath in straight reproach. In Israel, nobody keeps no Sabbath days. No Gentile keep no Sabbath days. No new moons, no feast days, no this, no that. A woman called me today on the phone. I'm trying to get calibrated, trying to shake this headache, and I'm finna come to school. This woman like, hey, such and such, you came to visit the resort. I'm like, okay. And she's talking, and I said, but you called me at not a good time. She said, okay, well, if you could just hear me out. And I'm sitting here thinking about, well, New York trip, maybe I can get something good. But I said, I can't talk this on the Sabbath. I'm saying, the Spirit is saying this. I'm saying this to myself. So I got to get off this phone. So I said, well, listen, you called me at a bad time. She insisted. She said, well, if I'm halfway there, I'm thinking to myself, no, you're not. Because I've already said twice, you called me at a bad time. So instead of just hanging up on her, I said, hey, call me back on Monday and I can talk. You called me at a bad time. I didn't want to be rude and hang up. I started to, but the only reason why I didn't be rude and hang up because, it might lead to a trip. So I said, listen, you could talk to me. She said, well, I only have this deal now. I said, well, that means that I won't get the deal if you can't call me back on Monday. So then I'll just have to let this deal pass then. She said, okay, I'll call you back on Monday. Thanks. So I got on the phone. Point is, nobody keeps the Sabbath. So I wasn't supposed to sit there and negotiate on the Shabbat. Oh, I'm gonna negotiate a deal and get this woman my credit card information and buy a resort, buy a thing. That might be the thing to kill me, man. Or I get out there and tear a rental up or something. Get out there and get sick. Some of you, what are y'all thinking about? Defiling, profaning the Sabbath. You don't fear the Most High, even though you doing okay right now. The Most High is pronouncing evil and judgment against you. Stop being wicked demons. You only look good to yourself. You only look sweet to yourself and to whoever kissing on you, loving you, or whoever, your mama, your daddy. But to the Most High, you're going to look like a devil, a demon to him. Stop doing that. Our people saw these Gentiles profaning the Sabbath. And also, it rubbed off on Israel because later we finna read how Israel consented. And now they profaning the Sabbath day too. Without a show of hands, how many of you here profaning the Sabbath day? Doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. Going somewhere you're not supposed to be going. Being with somebody you're not supposed to be with. You can't use my drill on the Sabbath day. My drill cannot be working on the Sabbath day. It's a drill, man. Can I get your drill? What you doing? I'm fixing my steps. Nope. My drill, not today. I ain't even finna lie to you and say it ain't here. I'm just gonna say not today. No. No, not on the Sabbath. Can I use your car? Nope. Not on the Sabbath. It's nothing I can do for you on the Sabbath. You're gonna bring the wrath of the Most High down upon me, man. You have got to fear before something happens unto you. So let's finish this.
Her honor into contempt.
Right. We used to be respected. Now we get disrespected. That's what that means. Now we got disrespected. We used to be respected. Remember Exodus 19. This is a people used to look at us as a respectable nation. But now we got disrespected because we lost this fight. We lost this battle. These people handed us our behinds. Do everybody understand? So the other nations that were around about, they didn't have any respect for us. Not no more. Remember how it was? We put fear in the minds of people when we came out of Egypt. People knew the Most High was with us. Their hearts was trembling. Like Rahab the harlot, she helped us, and all the kings came in disguise trying to make an agreement so we don't stomp them. Right. The honor that we had, no more honor, no more. Why? Because of sin. They saw us sin. And they saw these heathens took our land and deal with our women a certain way and kill our men. All because of sin. All right, go ahead.
Verse 40. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning.
Right. So someone said, can you walk the dog on the Sabbath? You know, it just depends. You know, if that's what's going to make your dog go to the bathroom. But I don't see, you know. I tell you what, if you're walking a dog for exercise, do it the day before or the day after. That's just like me going out. I'm going to go walk for exercise. Should I be exercising on the Sabbath? That's the same thing as working out. So, you know, let the dog out in the backyard and call him back in and think about the Most High on the Sabbath day. Do whatever you typically do pertaining to the Most High on the Sabbath day. I know it might seem to be petty, but, you know, it's just a beast. So the beast can do what you do. If you can't work out on the Sabbath, then don't work your dog out on the Sabbath. Okay? You know, I'll just kind of leave it at that. You know, you're talking to somebody who seldom walks his dog. I seldom walk the dog, I'm sorry. But she travels. She'll go to the moon with me, but as far as walking her, I don't walk her, you know. You know, she walk outside into the car up and down, but but like I said, some people will walk the dog for exercise. That's the same as walking for exercise. I'm not going to exercise on the Sabbath. Exercise my spirit on the Sabbath. So we were at now 41. Go ahead.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So remember all the other nations and lands that he conquered. So he is to them, and now unto Israel. He's considering the land of Israel now his kingdom. And this is a Greek, a Roman, a so-called ancient day American. Go ahead.
And everyone should leave his laws.
So everybody should stop practicing what y'all practicing, is what he's saying. Go ahead.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So all the heathen, that's all the nations that he had prevailed over. Go ahead.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Wait a second. Now Israel is on board. So when you leave the laws and go with the commandment of the king, that's a religion there. So many Israelites consented to his religion, the same as today, to be lawless, profane the Sabbath, do what you want to do. And he's going to show you. What else?
And sacrifice unto idols.
And have voodoo statues, totem poles, and images. Idols. Have graven images. Any type of image. Well, I don't want to say any type. Things that are set to be worshipped. Images, poles, statues made of wood, clay, stone, ink, plaster, paint, all of those things. Who brought that in? The Greeks brought it in because it wasn't the Most High. So if any of you have these things, bust that out of your system. You shouldn't have a picture talking about this, what Yahweh Shai would look like. No, that's what the devil looks like. Yeah. Don't have no images. The Bible says don't make no image. If you do, you have been corrupted. The similitude of man or anything, do not. Yes, and there are people that, yeah, we had images. Listen, they playing with a bunch of people that just came around that just wants to be on the bandwagon saying, yeah, we're the truth, yeah. But somebody that knows better, no. I've been living all my life in this truth without any images. You ain't never showed me, you ain't never seen me in your life pop up no image. Yeah, we rock with this. This is what Christ looked like. See, he got skin that's been looked like it's burned in the furnace and an afro. And I got all faith. I got a lot of faith. I got enough faith to recover myself, enough to remove the mountain in my life, and also enough to help others. And I don't need it. So you don't have to go without that image. You don't need that image. You can live without it. Especially when the Most High say, you're going to obey the Most High, you're going to obey man. The Most High himself says, don't make an image unto yourself, the similitude of anything. Understand? Obey the Most High, not men. Just write these down. Deuteronomy 4, 12 through 15, 4 through 16. Exodus chapter 20. And verse 4. Those two are enough. Wisdom of Solomon 16, write this one down. 12 and 13. You can deal with them at another time just to keep us from going through those. So first Maccabees chapter 1, and now 43. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, sacrifice unto idols. So now they start dealing with the idols. So now they ain't dealing with the Most High no more, and profane the Sabbath. So as soon as you won't apply the scriptures and you start dealing with idols and you ain't keeping the Sabbath, you are dealing in the religion of these heathens, even though you might say you Israel. There's a lot of people that know that they Israel. Excuse me. They don't walk in the laws. They consent to his religion, meaning they agree. They be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with these people. These people believe, they say they believe in Yah. I'm like, man, are you stupid? They deal with idols and they don't keep the Sabbath. And you dealing with them? That's this. Verse 44.
For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
So at this point, you don't know that this is going to transition into these people. Fast forward, it's gonna transition into these people turning themselves into what you would call Jewish, and coming up with different strange laws. One strange law that's a Jewish law is pedophilia of the, the circumcision, right? See how those priests, they circumcise little babies. Yeah, so they do that, and many other things they do. All right. So forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple. So the burnt offerings and the sacrifices was for what? That's right. It was for sin offerings. So it was drink offerings. Depends on the level of sin you brought forth or what you had. You brought forth these offerings unto the Most High. So with them stopping you from bringing these things to the temple, they're trying to stop you from serving the Most High. And that they should profane the Sabbath day and feastable days. So they stop you from keeping Sabbath days and feast days. Why do you think they don't tell you about Purim, Nicanor? What's the next one? Feast of Unleavened Bread, first fruits, tabernacles. You understand? Dedication of the altar. They don't tell you about any of those days. They don't tell you about the new moon feast days. They don't tell you about any of those days because they don't want you to do it. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. So they go after the sanctuary. And how do they pollute the sanctuary today?
Christian churches.
No, we ain't dealing with the Christian church. I'm saying, how does the government pollute the sanctuary today?
That's money.
Get the Christian church out of it. They already a part of this dude. They want the sanctuary of the Most High. You Israelites. How do they pollute the sanctuary?
Sabbath day.
Okay, you out. Shit, you gonna keep on. How do they pollute this?
Idols.
Who?
Idols.
Idols. Okay, that's a good one.
Football.
How do they pollute it?
Promoting homosexuality.
Shh. You burning in your seat. They say something. Sisters don't speak now, sis. How do they pollute the sanctuary?
I'm trying to teach our people.
Okay, he's very close. So how could they, what would pollute us? This sanctuary right here, the General Assembly and Church of the Firstborn, how would they pollute? I mean, I would just literally die in this chair. What would kill me? Literally, it'll kill me. That's right. You bring that demon in here, I would probably die, man. Straight up. Yes. Yeah. Hey, mix the people with them. Did you not see the video of GOCC? Did y'all see the information I put out there? I don't go after nobody, and I'm not even coming after them. But when I saw it, I said, this explains it. You know, this explains it. People have an opportunity to come up out of that situation. If they don't, that's on them. GOCC is government founded. It's government founded, and it's backed by a guy named Dan Peterson. He is an Edomite. He sets up churches for money. All these big churches, y'all be wondering how they get all those lavish clothes, how they get that big old space, how do they get this? They got houses, they got that, they got this. They ain't with all these, they ain't with Antiochus in them. Modern day Antiochus. You can't tell, but somebody snuck behind the scenes. Somebody snuck behind the scenes and found out this girl, she whistle blew. She said, you know what? I'm glad the Most High gave me a spirit to research. I wouldn't share it if it wasn't true. Somebody came on from GOC, tried to dispute it. I said, man, listen, at the end of the day, this is recorded in Washington, D.C. and in heaven. It got the elders of GOCC, it got their elders' name on this paperwork, and it got Dan Peterson's name on the paperwork, on the church paperwork. I saw his commercial. He says that's what he does. He sets up churches. And so why do you think that it's flooded with Greeks? It's flooded with Greeks. You can marry a Greek. You can do whatever you want to do with a Greek. Greek fest in that organization. And people don't want you to say nothing about them. The reason is because they can deal with their Greeks and be all praises, hallelujah. Leave me alone. I can do whatever I want to do. While all the heads are raking in big money from doing it. See, big money from doing it. Those guys sold out. They were prominent men to where people respected them. And somehow she's saying that they're affiliated with the CIA. I ain't giving them no titles. I don't care what they affiliate. They affiliate with the Greeks. And now the sanctuary of the Lord is profaned. You see, those Greeks will bring in, because the Spirit of the Most High is not in them to do the job that's in us to do. They're going to do whatever they want to do, man. And it's just sooner or later, they're going to drive you away from the strictness of the service of the Most High. You're supposed to serve the Most High straight. The Bible says straight and narrow is the way. You can't do anything. And that's what a lot of people, they don't like about following the Most High in Christ. You want to be able to do anything, you can't do anything. You can't groom yourself any type of way. You can't dress any way. You can't just go anywhere. No, you can't do none of that, man. When you signed up to follow Christ, people talking about the laws are done away with. The laws, not doing the laws is what brought all of these issues and problems into your life. That's why you grew up without a country, without a heritage, without a nationality. You grew up under a proverb, calling yourself a savage. Oh, I'm a savage from North America. I'm a savage from South Central America. I'm a North American Indian. Indian means savage. You know what a savage is? An uncontrollable beast, man. So that's a curse. That's a byword. That's a proverb, man. That's a wicked saying. You can call yourself an uncontrollable beast. They don't say that about themselves. So back to the scriptures. So we're at First Maccabees in the Apocrypha, chapter 1 and 46. So pollute the sanctuary, bring unlawful things in it, and they themselves in it. Okay. Let's see. Go to second Maccabees 6. Show you what else they was doing up in that John. Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1.
Second Maccabees 6 and 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers.
So anybody that was still holding on, don't send somebody else to try and finish the job. Go ahead.
And not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that in Gerizim, of Jupiter, the defender of strangers.
So call the temple Jupiter. Go ahead.
As they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people.
So what was the name of the temple? No. What was the name of the temple? He said Jupiter. What was the name of the temple? No. Let's see. Okay. Write this down. Well, First Chronicles 6. First Chronicles 6. And verse 10. Samari, bring another water for me. First Chronicles chapter 6 and 10. Read that.
This is First Chronicles chapter 6 and verse 10. And Johanan begat Azariah. He it is that executed the priest's office in the temple that Solomon built in Jerusalem.
Now go to St. John chapter 10 and 23. St. John chapter 10 and 22. St. John 10 and 22. Keep up.
This is St. John chapter 10 and 22. And it was at Jerusalem the feast of dedication, and it was winter.
Right. So this is way after this time here. So Israel got control back. So it was winter, and it was the feast of dedication. That's what we're going into 2 Sundays from now. Okay, dedication of the altar. Go ahead.
And Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
Right. So he walked into the temple in Solomon's porch. So Naturally, what would we call that temple? Solomon's temple. Okay? Solomon's temple had Solomon's porch. So we would call that temple Solomon's temple. But they renamed it Jupiter. So let's go back. So it's the temple that Solomon built. It was named after Solomon because he built it. He built it very lavishly too. It was very expensive. He had things that were made in all type of, from all countries. First Kings. Trying to look at this temple. They try to name it. It wasn't even theirs. They tried to rename it after a demon idol. First Kings chapter 5. So First Kings chapter 5, and I'll start at the top one. I'll start and give it. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David, and David sent Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build a house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which was about him on every side, unto the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord have given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent. And behold, I propose to build a house unto the name of the Lord, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son whom I set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build a house unto my name. Now therefore command that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee I will give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew lumber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, which have given unto David a son wise over this people. Now Hiram sent Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sendest to me, for I will do all thy desire according timber of cedar and concerning timber of fir. So these are big, tall trees. All right, cedar trees, fir trees. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by the sea in floats unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them to be discharged there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. And Hiram sent Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food for his household, and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus Solomon gave to Hiram year by year, and the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon. And two made and they too made a league together. And Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon 10,000 a month by courses. A month they would be in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,000 that bare burdens, and 70,000 hewers in the mountains. It's a lot of people working. Beside the chief of Solomon's officers, which were over the work, 3,300, which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And Solomon commanded that they build stones, costly stones. So this is going to the jewels. Go ahead.
And hewed stones to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, and the stone quarters. So they prepared timber and stones to build the house. Chapter 6 and 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights. And against the wall of the house he built chambers round about. Against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle, he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad, and the middle was 6 cubits broad, and the third was 7 cubits broad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrow rest round about, that the beams should not be fastened to the walls of the house. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. The door for the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third.
So stop. I want y'all to continue to read this in chapter 7. But let me get to a point, then we need to go back to Maccabees. Jump over to verse 21.
This is 1 Kings 6 and 21. So Solomon overlaid the house with pure gold, and he made
Read it again.
This is 1 Kings 6 and 21. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold.
So the inside of the house, instead of like painted, it was all gold. It was overlaid in gold. So these are some of the details. So they try to call this, what is it? Jupiter, Olympius, Jupiter. Dude, you're gonna go into some bugged out stuff and try to just call something that was made for us? No, man, that's why they wrong. Go ahead.
And he made a partition by the chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. And the whole house he overlaid with gold, until he had finished all the house. Also the whole altar that was by the oracle he overlaid with gold.
Right. So this is the stuff that they stole. So this was a gold mine. This was a find to them. So y'all could finish reading at your own expense. This helps you to understand. And this helps you to understand some of the stuff that we spoken when we're going through scriptures, what's going on and why does it mean something, and when we give them such a hard time for the stuff that they have did, why do we give them a hard time? Because gold doesn't evaporate. So that same temple supposed to been there up until this day. We're supposed to still be able to have that in possession as a place of worship and service right now today. Solomon built it in his time. Didn't Christ go into it? That's right. So we're supposed to be able to go into it, right? Exactly. We're supposed to be able to go into it. So we're not giving them a hard time for no reason, man. They just wrong at the end of the day. They wrong. They did all of this dirt, and then on top of that, oppress us on a daily basis. We'll go back to the first chapter of Maccabees, chapter 1. And where did you stop? '46. Let's see. Second Maccabees 6. No, I wasn't done. No, I ain't got to it yet. So, yeah, they wanted to call the temple Jupiter Olympius. Anytime Olympius is named, that means that something is huge. Remember, Olympus-sized swimming pool, Olympus-sized pool table. That's where they get this from this pagan astrologist, all right? The defender of strangers. Verse 3.
This is 2 Maccabees 6:3. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles.
Right, partying. You ever see some of those old movies and you see them drunken and chugging those wood carved kegs around and beer, riotous and revelings kicking it. So this is our temple, the one that we just said. It was full of that. Go ahead.
Who dallied with harlots. Now it was harlots in there. Women with their tops off, laughing, playing, and joking around, funding around with men being tossed back and forth. Go ahead. And had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places.
The holy places, the veils, and all of that stuff that he created. Man, Solomon, man, he never expected that Israel would let things get out of hand like this. They were having sex right into the place. So when the scriptures say they profaned the sanctuary, this is how they profaned the sanctuary. They can't come in at all, man. Go ahead.
And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
So let's go back. First Maccabees chapter 1.
47.
Right. So 46, we see how they polluted the sanctuary and the holy people by doing it in front of the holy people, and the holy people stumbling, falling in front of it. If you feel, for the ones that felt that they felt God forsaken, they start partaking with this. Okay, go ahead.
First Maccabees 1:47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
Stop. In like manner, he wrote to all his whole kingdom, appointed officers of all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice. Now, that's what they want to do in these times. They want to appoint officers to the cities where black people is, because they saying that black people are not doing what? They're not taking the vaccine. And they want to command you to do it. They want to go and straight force and make you do it. It's the same thing. It's worded differently, but it's the same thing. They made you partake in what they was doing. They know that there are people that ain't getting sick, and they know that there are people that ain't gonna get sick either, because of the way your body is, because of the Most High. There are people that been around COVID people, and you ain't get sick. Most High didn't want you to get sick. Of course, they know that too. They know that you have built up, that you have an immunity to it. But they don't care. They don't want no rogues. They don't want you to be just against them, rogue against them. They want you to do what they say and when they say. So, we're going to end up facing down these people again, city by city. Verse 51, city by city. It's going to hit every city wherever Judah is. It's going to come a point to where they're going to straight make you do it. Yeah. Excuse me. We're going to make you do it. You're going to sit there and get the injection. Some of you going to drop dead from it. Some of you going to get sick from it. And some of you, the Most High, may not allow you to do anything from it. But that ain't going to be the end of it. They know that the stuff that they put in you, it causes damage on down the line. Just like people that go into a job, I'll just use asbestos for an example. They go into a job and they work around their parts and it's chemical or those fumes or whatever. Next thing you know, you got leukemia. Asbestos parts. And like, wait a minute. All the time you was working, you was fine. 5 or 10 years later, you drop it dead. They doing this stuff for population control. So city by city, they have always did this. That's a Greek custom. Force you to do something city by city. So don't say that you ain't been warned. We are being warned. What are you gonna do? Do you know what to do? Who don't know what to do, honestly? Who don't know what to do? Okay. Anybody else don't know what to do? Raise your hand. You don't know what to do? Okay. Let's see. So read the next verse. I'm finna answer it.
Verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law.
So who went to him? The ones that forsook the law of the Most High. If you ain't gonna deal with the law of the Most High, you surrendered yourself to him. They the ones that went to them. Go ahead.
And so they committed evils in the land.
Right. The people committed, that was great wickedness that they did. Go ahead.
And drove the Israelites into secret places.
So the rest that didn't, what happened with them?
And they're driving in secret places.
Okay. So you're getting your answer. You're getting your answers. You're getting your answer. You can't let them do that to you. You can't let them molest your body with those poisons and chemicals. You got to do the research yourself, though, so that you could see what it's doing to people. And it ain't going to stop there. They want to put a chip inside of you, too. So that's just it's going from one step to the next step to the next step to the next step. So our fathers, they fled. Go ahead.
Even wheresoever they could flee for secure.
Wherever they could leave for safety, so that they didn't have to be in subjection unto them. Now, the next thing is, those of us, the world is a little bit more complicated than it was then. You can't do anything broke without acknowledgement of showing, are you broke? You better try to save, even if it's for a bus ticket, even if you can catch the Metro link as far as you can go and get on another one and get on a bike. But broke ain't the way. You can't do nothing broke. So you gotta have to start saving and not excessive spending. Buy what you need. Some things that you want, you have to put that to the side. Is $20 too small to save? The answer is no. 20 and 20 is 40. 40 and 20 is 60. 60 and 20 is 80. When you do the math, over a period of time, it's going to accumulate. Some people be like, oh, I don't have $200 to save, so this, I'm gonna do it next time. You got to do it this time. You got to just start putting something on top of that little bit of nothing that you have. Instead of feeling like, oh, I don't have anything. As long as you're saving it, it's yours. You always got it. But you got to be able to save. You got to start saving, man. You want to see how people could be working and they spend all their money down to nothing. If you got enough to go back to make more money and you got $13 left, how much do you save?
$13.
Well, that's not realistic. Okay, so how much?
5.
Somebody said 5? I said 10. I said 10. I put $3 in my pocket, saved the 10. I got to wait back and forth to work. So that $3 is gonna save. It's gonna go into the next time I get paid, until I'm between a rock and a hard spot. Now I got $3 to save, and I should be closer to getting paid again. Maybe I'm down to only $13 because I had to pay some bills, and I got the bills paid. So the bills are paid. I'm gonna go back and forth to work. Only had that 13 left. So I'm saving 10. I got 10 saved. That's gonna be there. I ain't touching that. So I only got $3. And I ain't touching that unless I just have to. I'm caught tripping for some reason and I need It's $3. I need $1 or $2. Then I got $1. But spending the whole 13, that ain't. I'm gonna strike out that day there. I'm completely broke. And if I spend 8, that five ain't gonna have a chance. Nah, it's just $5. It ain't gonna have a chance by itself. I'm gonna put that in my pocket until I get paid again. Then I'm gonna spend that. But that 10, that's some daylight right there. $10 is $10. You know. People take you across. That's emergency. They'll take you across town for $10. Man, I'll give you $10, man. Take me across town. All right. That's $10. And, you know, that 10, you can win with that 10. It ain't 100. No, it ain't 100. But you can win with that 10, man. So you got to save that. Some of you don't know how to pull yourself out of a hole, man, because I don't know, but you got to learn. You're going to need it to help yourself. Might come a point in time where we all ready to break and never see each other again. And what happens then? You didn't do any listening. You didn't do no saving. You can't even help yourself. What's going to happen then, man? So, Israel, we be talking like this, and you know, y'all don't think it's crazy, but some people think it's crazy. You know who the ones that think it's crazy? The ones that's going to consent to them. The ones that's going to give in. What did it say? It says many of the people are gathered unto them. The ones that are gathered unto them, they'll listen to this and say, man, he's out of his mind, man. Where are you gonna go to? If you was there, you'd have said this to them. Anywhere to avoid them controlling my body. You mean you're gonna make me put something in me and I don't want it and there's nothing wrong with me? It's not like I'm coughing and sneezing and you say, man, would you cover your mouth? There's nothing totally wrong with me, but you want to persuade me to allow you to force something in me because it pleases you. Man. And that sounds crazy to them, to not want that. Everyone that forsook the law, those are the ones that gathered unto them. And so they committed evils in the land, meaning the Greeks committed evils in the land. Drove the Israelites to secret places wheresoever they could flee for succor, meaning for safety. Verse 54.
Now the 15th day of the month Castle, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Are you hearing this? So every side, what they did was this beautiful altar, they just disrespected it. It was at this point, it was already robbed of the gold that it was overlaid. So they put a pagan altar and started sacrificing swine's flesh on top of it. And then on top of that, they built idols throughout all the cities of Judah on every side. So just imagine on the left side, on the right side, they go up a block, left side, right side. They go up a block, left side, right side. They go up 2 blocks and around the corner, left side, right side. What does that sound like? The Baptist churches, the denominating churches that claims I'm a Episcopalian, I'm Baptist, I'm Lutheran, I'm Seventh-day Adventist. Listen, it's variated now because they're trying to meet your fancy, anything but keeping you from coming back until who you call Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Anything that keeps you from calling upon the Most High in the name of Christ. So they'll let you call on Allah, Buddha. They'll let you even call Satan himself. They'll let you say that you're a Baptist, that you're a Catholic, you're a Seventh-day Adventist. They're going to let you say whatever it is you want to because you got it from them. And they the ones that gave these people the license to set this up throughout all the cities of Judah. That's why all these denominations that are in Black communities stem from the Roman Catholic Church. They set them all up. And they all have something in common. You don't have to keep no laws. You profane the Sabbath, leave your children uncircumcised, and sacrifice unto them. Meaning give your whole life from the day you're born until the day you die to Christendom. And our people haven't caught on yet. Maybe that's one reason why they took the Apocrypha out. Because this describes their lifestyle and the dynamic of all of the stuff that they're doing right here in the scriptures, what we're reading. Okay, so verse 55.
And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. And whatsoever was found with any of the book of the testament or of any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar.
Stop. I want a question. Who is the Greeks? Who did you say?
White people.
Okay, so-called white people. Biblical name Edomites. So now it says that they rent the pieces of the books of the law which they found and burned them with fire. Where in the Bible did they get that from? Why is he doing it? So this is Esau. He knows. Does he know that he's an Edomite? Okay. Yes. At this time, they know that they're Edomites. The ones today, they're learning. There's a lot of them is learning them. But you just can't go into the department store and they be like, oh, they're Edomites. Or you're an Edomite. They don't know that they're Edomites. Okay. They think that they're what? Right, just white people or what else? Caucasians are right, or Europeans. Thank you. You're getting those things right. Or Europeans. Or they say, oh, I'm Americans. But they don't know that they from biblical Edomites. They even know that of Roman descent. Even Greek descent. But they're not intellectual enough, and I'm not trying to take anything from them because, some of them are very smart people. They read it, they studious, and things like that. But a lot of them, they got so much money that they don't have to read. Okay? But the question is, where did he get this burning of the law from? I'm sitting here, I'm like, this dude is, where did he get that from? Where did they get that from?
Jeremiah.
No. Jeremiah was nowhere around. Deuteronomy. So Deuteronomy chapter 7. Verse 2.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee.
So he's talking about these nations that was in the land of Canaan, Hamites. Go ahead.
Thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Right. So listen, look at the pattern of Esau. That's what they did to us. At this time, this is Israel as a nation. Do you think Israel as a nation knew Edom as a nation, and Edom as a nation knew Israel as a nation? Do y'all think so? Yes. I was going to play with you, but yes, they did know. And he also knew the things that we did. So he's mimicking the stuff that we did. He's learning from us from afar because they heard things. You got relatives that stay out of town. You know what's going on with them. The guy is learning from us, man. He's doing everything that the Most High told us to do to the point to where he came back and say, forget it. I'm going to be him. He hated us that much. He's going to assimilate himself unto us. This dude is incredible, man. Go ahead.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
So skip the other two. Jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them.
So he see how we dealt with others, how the Most High told us to deal with others. Go ahead.
Ye shall destroy their altars.
Didn't they do that to us? Right, because they set the abomination of desolation upon it. So they destroyed that altar to stop us from dealing with the Most High, the same way we stopped those nations from dealing in their mindset. Go ahead.
And break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire.
There's the fire right there. So they burned everything with fire. They got that from us. And because we did it, the Most High told us how to destroy and stop someone else. They say, oh, I'll do that to you. So they did the exact same thing with us. Okay, just so you know. They get everything that they're doing from us. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees. (57) 1 and 57. Wheresoever was found with any book of the Testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was to put him to death. So that was the judgment. They got that from us too. Okay? Putting people to death for not serving the way that we're told to serve. And that's 13. Deuteronomy 13. Go to Deuteronomy 13. We'll get to the point. Deuteronomy 13 and 8.
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and 8. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him.
So if we didn't consent unto the law, the king's commandment was for us to put them to death. Same thing. You can't listen to them, hearken to them. You can't let them talk you out of it. You couldn't pity. You couldn't have pity for them. You couldn't spare them. You couldn't hide them. Oh, I'm going to tuck you away so that you can get away. We couldn't do anything. Neither could their soldiers do that. They're getting it for us. Go ahead, from us.
But thou shalt surely kill him.
You see? You're supposed to kill them. That was a law that we had set up if somebody tried to bring in some false worship back in those times. Right now, somebody say, oh, I'm going to Ebenezer Baptist Church, Lutheran Tabernacle Church. You can't kill nobody. Just leave those people alone. You tell them that's not the way. They don't deal in this truth. This is the law. This is what we should do. This make us a holy people. If they're going to hear it, they're going to research it, and that's going to be it. If they don't listen to it, then leave them alone. Some of you kill me. You be trying to convince and waste it and use use your time up on somebody that's not listening to you. How do I get somebody to do this and that? You can't get anybody to do anything. You tell them very nice and politely and tell them to go read it. And then go look for, is there anybody, if I ask, is there anybody in here who really wants to learn the truth? All you got to raise your hand because you're here. So I'm looking for you. I'm not finna chase this person down the street. Yeah. Do you want to know the truth? Shit. He gonna say no. Shit. Don't you see what I'm doing? He say, wait a minute, girl. He's chasing this girl. Oh, he's looking for the weed man. You think these dudes pulling up on each other, giving each other drugs, etc., etc., etc. This dude's not interested in this, man. Leave him alone. Go after somebody that's interested. All right? So go ahead. Thou shalt kill him.
But thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be first upon him, to put him to death.
Go ahead.
And afterwards the hand of all the people.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he have sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
You see, and so in 1 Maccabees 1, you had to kill him in 57. You had to kill him because he's trying to thrust you away from the king. Because it's the king's commandment. And everybody respects the king. They love the king. They respected the king. They feared the king. They obeyed the king. You see? Let's go back.
And if I can add a quick point, and that's that, like we read out in camp, that's Deuteronomy 32. This is actually in 1 Maccabees where the Most High said he would provoke Israel to jealousy with a people that wasn't a people and a foolish nation. So everything that the Most High had us do, he used a nation that he said wasn't a nation to use the same things that we used against us. You know, Israel, they didn't think that that would happen, but this is actually proof that it happened.
All right. So 1 Maccabees 1 and now 58.
1 Maccabees 1 and 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar.
So as many as found in the city. So the cities, obviously there had to be people that was trying to still linger around and didn't want to comply. But they were still trying to, they had to hang around because they was trying to do what?
See what's going on.
They trying to see what's going on. No. Why are you still hanging around in an environment that's rejecting you? You're trying to survive. You're trying to survive, but you got caught. See, it's going to be the same way. You ain't going to have the mark, but you think you're going to try to hang around and try and survive? You're going to get turned in, man. They're going to find you and nab you. And either you're going to do it or you're going to be put to death. They always give you a choice. Comply or get put to death. But we already read those that consent unto them are going to get head in derision. So you're going to get jacked up anyway. Some of you, they're going to make mockery out of something. Because you know what's going to end up happening? You betrayed the Most High. You think, oh, now I'm going to give in for the love of life. The Most High going to make an example out of you. You're going to get drugged and trodden under the foot. You're not going to like it. You're going to get tortured, man. You're going to see a side of God that you didn't know exists. You're like, I didn't know that God was like this. And he let this happen unto me. See? And then you know what? And the so-called white man, you know what he is for real? Well, he's the devil. But what else? He's a sodomite. He's a sodomite. Yeah, and you know what yeah, you wish you had a left. Yeah. Yeah, they rape men too, man. They bad, man. They crazy. That's terrible. All right. So, all right, that's it about the abandoning and stuff. We gotta move on. Can't say much about that. All I know is that he's gay. So leave the city. Leave the city. Now, so but that stuck out. So I want these scriptures to stick out to y'all. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month. So every month it says to as many as were found in the city. Because remember, there are some that just came out and consented to them, but others they had to be found. So you have people that steady trying to hold on. And they're gonna find you out. All right. Now, verse 59.
Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. In which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Stop. The 25th day of that month. So that's the 25th day of the month in the Hebrew that we're going to be keeping that dedication of the altar. All right. But listen. Verse 60. At which time, according to the commandment, so you had sisters that was keeping the commandments, put to death certain women. So there were people that were still trying to keep the commandments. They were keeping the commandments. It says that had caused their children to be circumcised. Why was these sisters put to death? I understand. Tell me something that the scriptures didn't say right here. It already said because they're circumcised. Why did these sisters get put to death? They were still sinning.
They went against the decree.
They went against the decree. They were still sinning. Okay. So let's just say that. But it's something else I'm looking for. Maybe they were sinning in some other reason and something else, but that ain't really what I'm looking for. It's something else that I want us to really think about that's not here.
They didn't flee to them secret places with everybody else.
That's right. That's right. He get it. They didn't leave. They didn't run for secure. See, many of you think that you're going to be able to just, I'm going to rough it out. I'm going to bunker down. I say that all the time. Man, if I got to bunker down, I got to bunker down. But every time I say that, I have to foresee the vision. It's going to be so rough, man. You can't, but it's like bunker down where and how. Please stop slamming that door downstairs. Bunker down where and how. I know some of you afraid and scared for your life. Ain't we all? And those that don't say, oh, yeah, I got the faith of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Me too. But who's not afraid of the unknown? Who's not afraid of, or let me call it caution. I'm cautious. I don't know. I'm unsure. I'm uncertain. I don't want them violating me. I don't want them making me to do anything. Make me to sacrifice. Make me to be injected. Make me to do this. I don't want them anybody to make anything. But when you say that I got a bunk. I'm gonna just bunker down, and it doesn't end well. You gotta have to try and survive, man. But for sure, if you stay put, it's just a matter of time when they're gonna come up on you. You're gonna be caught. The scriptures say he calls all. So everybody that he could catch, he gonna get it. You gonna get it. So these sisters here, yeah, they tried to bunker down, man. I'm gonna still keep the commandments regardless of what he's saying. So I ain't gonna name them wicked. I ain't gonna whatever the other thing was, but I am gonna put them right here in place because they got caught and they got killed. So it's gonna come a time, man, where you gotta start thinking about surviving. And you have to all these being sentimental for these cities. You gotta leave those sentiments alone. You used to these blocks and these neighborhoods and these towns. I'm used to living too. But they're gonna change, man. They have always been doing this. They're gonna change. They're gonna take away their freedom. So that's just food for thought. So they got these sisters. Verse 61.
And they hanged the infants about their necks.
And they killed their children. These was babies. So even if these sisters had to turn and say, well, hey, I'll do it, they still remember whenever we go with the Greek history about 70 AD, we start from 66 to 71 or somewhere like that. A lot of times people don't think that we deal with the history because we always talk about laws and don't do this and don't do that. Oh, we do. And remember how at that time, the Caesar, he couldn't even control his troops because they were so inflamed with the rage and the thirst for murder. They were just so enraged. The history is that they were so agitated and they were so aggressive that they couldn't. It just reminds me of how, remember how the police, when they take the German Shepherd, when they take the dogs out and they sick them on people, and the dog lock on, and people be like, why don't you get the dog off? Maybe he can't get the dog off. Maybe the dog is not responding to the command. But he's there grabbing the guy's arm and he's just shaking him and shaking him because that's what he wants to do. He's just shaking him and shaking him because that's what he wants to do. The history says that the soldiers doing the slaughter, man, they were so inflamed with rage that they had to turn on them, didn't they, to stop them?
Mm-hmm. So this guy with the club.
Huh?
He sent this guy out with the club. Anybody who wouldn't listen to his command.
Right, he had to turn on his. He had to turn. I think it was Vespasian. He had to turn on his soldiers because the soldiers they stopped listening, and they was killing people and stealing at the same time. And he wanted to save the structure, but they was burning the temple down. Because the temple had been rebuilt. They had been burning the temple down, and they was stealing, and they was killing, and they wouldn't stop. Here, they hanging kids, man. These sisters, their children got hung. If they had left, their kids wouldn't have got hung. And rifled their houses. So it's showing that they came, they were trying to stay held up in their house. Yeah, they was hiding in their own houses, trying to avoid detection. That didn't work. Do you know that they have technology now? Do you ask me, what are we going to do? I exactly don't know. The Most High is definitely going to lead and guide us. But I'm being 100. I'm being 100. They got technology right now that can sense heat source. Every person in this house, they can see through this with heat source and say, "Oh, it's in like it's like 50 people in that place." The same way you could take your stuff through the at the airport and you could put it on that belt and they go through there and they can see all the images inside of your bag. Yes. So they rifled that. They went into these people's houses. They were trying to hold up and slew them that have circumcised them. Verse 62.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Right. So the ones that stayed, they got the business. The one that left, they lived a little bit longer. So even as we get further and further, we're going to stop today. But even though we get further and further into it, they came after them. But everybody didn't get caught. How do you know that? I'm sorry.
Because some of us fled out of that country before we were massacred.
Because we're here. Yeah, but well, the ones that fled out, I said everybody didn't get caught. Some did, but everybody didn't. The evidence is right in front of you. We are those people right here, right now, today, still descending. We're the children of these people. So what you do is you look into these scriptures and you see the mistakes that others have made, and you have to be courageous and say, okay, well, I'm not going to make that mistake. The first thing that you have to be very courageous in is the laws of the Most High. And you have to say, okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better than people that lived in the past. And I'm going to keep the commandments of the Most High. I'm not going to do that. And it's your responsibility. It's not my responsibility to police you like you love me to do. Oh, Sham, talk to me. Tell me what to do. Police me. I believe you. I trust you. You got me. No, you got you. I trust that you are going to do everything that you are being commanded to do. It's your job to do that. You're not doing that for me. You're doing that for you. And if you do that, then you'll have good success. If you don't do it, then you're going to end up in a world of trouble. And that's not something that I want to see for you, because I know you in your natural state, being in the Holy Spirit, having the Holy Ghost of the Most High. You don't want that for yourself. So not wanting that for yourself, you have to make sure to keep yourself and apply the scriptures. So any questions? Anybody got anything to add? All right, that's it. So we'll continue. Every day you should come. We'll be back here on Tuesday for another part. We're going to go all the way until they rededicate this thing back into the Most High. They're going to recover. Now, when you go into the second chapter, the Most High is going to raise up a family that's going to stand up and fight against the Greeks, which is called the Maccabees brothers. So tune in for that lesson too, and we'll start that on Tuesday. It's always better if everybody makes the sacrifice, try to come out to the class and hear it, and that way you grow together. Don't sit at home with your feet up. I'm gonna watch it from home, and at home you distracted and you trying to cook hamburgers and all that kind of stuff at the same time. I know it. You wait right to class time, and then you're trying to do multitask at the same time. Okay, so Matthew 26, and then y'all can start your meeting.
is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 6. Now when Yahushua was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and prepared as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much, and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for memorial of her. So I want to give our praise to the Most High for sending this woman Mary with a humble and contrite heart to show forth her actions that she was ready to halt from sin and walk in the Christ the rest of her life, as well give him comfort before his burial. The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 23. For I received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it, and said, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation unto himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. What we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged with. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world.
Javon, the horn.
Introducing SpeechAlarm, the most natural sounding text-to-speech software on the market. Hey, I'm Joey.